Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Saturday Bhagavad-gita class, and we are discussing on chapter 3. Let's chant Mangalacharan prayers and then we start the class. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Thapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, last verse that we did on this chapter, that is 16, in which Krishna talks about Evam Pravartitam Chakram Nanum Vartayat Tiha Agharu Indriya Ramo. So here, my dear Arjun, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice, thus established by the Vedas, certainly leads a life full of sin. So we have to do the sacrifice. And before that, it talks about what happens when we do yajna. The whole cycle of getting the anna, getting the rains, and the clouds are happening, and that's how we are getting the um all the nutrient food, which is automatically. So that is the process which is automated by the Lord. So, but when we follow this process, then what happens? And if we don't follow that process, what happens? So we'll go to verse 17 now, and we'll see what Krishna says here. Yatsvatmartatirev. Hare Krishna, are you there? Yasmat sartiterev syad.
Yastva atma ratir eva syad
Atma triptascha manavaha.
atma striptascha manava
Atmani eva cha santishtas.
atmani evascha santushtas
Tasyat karyam na vidyate.
tasya karyam na vidyate.
Beautiful meaning. So it says that, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated. For him, there is no duty. Of course, we don't fall into that category yet. Okay. However, this is the ideal example of the person who is fully satiated, fully satisfied in the self, and he is completely surrendered to the Lord. So, what Srila Prabhupada says here, a person who is fully Krishna conscious and is fully satisfied by his acts in Krishna consciousness no longer has any duty to perform. Due to his being Krishna conscious, all impiety within is instantly cleansed, an effect of many thousands of years of yajna performances are equal to that. So, by such clearing of consciousness, one becomes fully confident of his eternal position in relationship with the Supreme. His duty thus becomes self illuminated by the grace of the Lord, and therefore he no longer has any obligations to the Vedic injunctions. Such a Krishna conscious person is no longer interested in material activities and no longer takes pleasure in material arrangements like wine, women, and similar infatuations. So, what Krishna is actually saying that if you are situated in the self-realization, the science of self-realization, if you understand that science and you are situated in self, then there is no need of performing your prescribed duty, because this is all what Krishna is asking us to do, that you are situated in the self, and that's where it takes you to. Yeah. So when we say that yajna karma samudbhavaha, so when the yajna karma is done, then only everything else happens, right? So annat bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhava, parjanyat anna sambhava. And then when we do yajna karma samudbhavaha, that time all these things are completing. So every person will have a prescribed duty to perform that kind of yajna. So the yajna for a self-realized soul is to do the yajna of looking at the self and getting immersed in the self. However, to reach that position is very, very hard. It's not impossible. It is not that one cannot reach to that position, but there are chances that who people have reached to that situation, that position, and they have become self-realized and they have seen the absolute truth. And that's how they will be, the people, those who are away from the prescribed duty of their day-to-day activities with respect to their families, etc. So their prescribed duty becomes the self-realization, and they are always contained in self. And that's how they will live their life. Yeah. So it is more concentrated on how one can establish himself in the self and always surrendered to the Lord and thinking about Him, chanting about Him, and reading about Him, always about the Supreme Lord. Doesn't have any other duty to perform because he is always situated in the Lord. So his position is absolutely different to what we are into. We are in the worldly uh, duties where we have to do our duties with respect to our families, our parents, our society, the samaj. Yeah. So we have to perform all those duties, and then only we are in a situation where we can get some time to do that. That's why the rules and regulations that Srila Prabhupada has prescribed for the householders, that at least do 16 rounds of japa. Even if you are not able to do any other thing, out of the now 9 vidhas of bhakti, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Sakyam, Dasyam, all of these, if only do Vishnu Smaranam with Shravanam, Kirtanam only. Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Vishnu Smaranam. These 3 things, if you are doing, then you are done. For the people, those who are only in the worldly duties, performing worldly duties, for them, these are the important factors that one should be doing it. But those who have beyond this, those who don't have to perform any worldly duties, they can completely absorb themselves in the self, and they are totally surrendered to the Lord. They don't have to worry about their food. They don't have to worry about, when they are drinking the water, etc., etc., etc. Lord will take care of them. Not that Lord is not taking care of us as well. Lord is taking care of us. That's why all these process, the rains and the anna and etc., etc., is automatically happening, because this is the cycle that it has been established by the Lord. And we have to follow this cycle. I gave the example last time about the artificial rains. So, if we try to force ourselves onto the nature's forces, then we are going against that. Just keep doing prescribed duties and you will get the results automatically. Don't try to impose your rules on the rules of the Lord. The system doesn't work that way. Okay. Now let's go to the next verse. That is 3.18. Sometimes my browser really plays around. Okay. Now, Krishna is going to talk about a person who doesn't need to do any duty. Now, how he will twist this argument and says that, yeah, but there is no reason for him to do his duty also. Those who are situated in self does not mean that they are not supposed to do their duty. They have no reason. So, naiva tasya kritanartho न कृतनेह कश्चन न काश्चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिद अर्थ विवस्वप्रयाः. The translation by Srila Prabhupada to this one is, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend upon any other living being. So he is now here using the neti principle here. That no, he does not have to do this. He has to also be doing his prescribed duty, but the discharge of prescribed duty could be different for him. Naiva tasya kritanartho. Kritanartho. Kritana means to do. Kartana. So it is doing the kriya. By discharge of duty, artha is the purpose for which he is doing the prescribed duty. The person has no purpose to fulfill by doing the duty. Neva tasya kritanartho. But then na kritaneha kaschana akritaneha. At the same time, the person has no reason not to do duty. Also, as the person is transcendental, to doing duty or not doing duty, both are equal. Why is that? Why is that? Because na chasya sarvabhuteshu. Such a person for all living beings, kaschit artha vivasa prayaha. What he's doing, vivasa prayaha, artha vivasa prayaha. Such a person is not dependent on other living beings. The person doesn't take shelter of any living being. So here Krishna is talking about sarva bhuteshu vivasa prayaha. This is not referring to the bhute, to the absolute truth. Here Krishna is not talking about bhakti. He has not introduced bhakti so much in this chapter. Although there is indirect reference to Supreme Lord by Yajna. Yajna is the direct manifestation of the Lord in the way of fire. It is the only thing that we can see with our naked eyes, the fire Yajna. So, Agnidev or the fire Yajna is the real manifestation of the Lord which we can see by our naked eyes. So, the work for the purpose of Yajna, but there is not direct reference to Mama till now in third chapter. He is not talking about himself, that Mama Atmanaha. Like he is not talking about himself. So here, Sarva Bhuteshu doesn't include Supreme Lord. Yes, all of us are dependent on Supreme Lord, but here he is not talking about the vertical interaction, but the horizontal interaction. He is only talking about the people who are on the earthly planet. That is the horizontal. Okay. He's not talking about the vertical where we have all the other lokas and where we have various demigods, and then so finally we have the Supreme Lord top on the top. So this person is not a Brahman. A Brahman is still part of the society. A Brahmana gives knowledge and takes charity. Yajna, Yajan and a Yajana. Do Yajana, perform Yajan for others. Patana, Pathana. Read scriptures and teach also scriptures to others. Dana, they give charity. They also do parigraha. They accept charity also. Dashrath Maharaj gives his kingdom to Brahmana and they return it back. Yeah. So Krishna is talking about the renunciate who are either sannyasis. Sannyasis are almost outside of the Varnashrama. They are topmost, but from there they are moving further outward. And those who practice Jnana Yoga for attaining liberation, they are not taking anything from anyone, so they need to not give anything to anyone because they are not taking anything from anyone. And Srila Prabhupada's purport, it explains us that from devotional perspective, a Krishna conscious man does not take shelter of any person, a man or a demigod. Whatever he does in Krishna consciousness is sufficient in the discharge of his obligation. Which means devotees knows Krishna, as explained earlier, one who is a devotee of Krishna is freed from all other types of debts as Krishna is source of everything. So that person, one who is devoted to Krishna, does not have any duty to other demigods. That means a transcendentalist may not know Krishna, and by the mercy of devotees and Supreme Lord, they may develop a clear understanding of what that absolute truth is all about. So Jnana Yoga is good. It gives you the information, it gives you the Jnana. And it also helps you with the help of other devotees, how they can support themselves, their living being, etc. Yeah. Is there any question?
Prabhuji,
Yeah.
and to be Stita Prajna, is it to be Sutta Sattva, sorry.
Sthita Prajna? Sthita
Is it is being Sutta Sattva
Yeah.
considered Stita Prajna?
Yes.
Is it part of it or is it all that it takes?
Okay. So Sita Prajna is the person. So that's a initial teaching that we are getting. How a Sita Prajna person walks, talks, behaves and conducts himself in the society. Now we are going above that.
So a self-realized person is beyond Strita Prajna.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. That's my question. Thank you.
yeah,
I've got a question.
yeah.
In the translation here, it says, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being.
Hmm.
So who is providing the material things that the person need, the food and everything?
Yeah, right. So what happens is the person who is self-realized, he doesn't have to, depend on any other living beings for his material requirement because God is providing him directly. How it happens, it depends on the people who are there in the society. These people will help somehow or the other to provide him because God is making that arrangement for him. He doesn't have to go from place to place to ask for the bhiksha and then he will survive. No, it doesn't happen that way. God will take care of him.
So he is dependent on other being then.
No, that's what. He is not dependent on others. He is dependent on the God because he is self-realized and he is dependent on the God.
Okay.
Rather than saying dependent, God is taking care of him. So he doesn't
Okay.
have to depend on anyone.
All right. Yep.
Okay. Let's go to 3.19. Tasmad asaktah satatam
Tasmat asakta
Tasmat asakata satatam
karyam karma kasamacharah
karyam
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 karma
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 samachara.
samachara
Asakto hi acharan karma
asakti
asakto hi
Asakto hi
acharan
acharan
karma
karma
param apnoti purushah.
param
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 apnoti
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 purusha.
purushaha.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Yeah. So basically, what Krishna is talking about that trying to make everyone, self-realized here. Okay. I'll read it again. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty. For by working without the attachment, one attains the Supreme. So, if you become self-realized, then you will detach yourself from the duties of the material world, and then you can get everything that is required. However, if you have a family, then you cannot do that, right? The whole family is sitting and only chanting, not doing anything. No, that will not be possible. Because you have a family, then the prescribed duty of everyone within the family is different. For a sannyasi, it is different. For a householder, it is different. So tasma, therefore, why therefore? As in previous verse, it is said, it makes no difference to detach the person to do the duty or not do due duty. Therefore, asakta satatam. Asakta satatam. Therefore, before Arjun, while staying always detached, detached from whom? From what? Karyam, karma samachara. Do your karya, do your prescribed duty What will happen by that? Asakto hi acharan karma. By performing work with detachment, asakta, asakti, right? So param apnoti purushaha. You will attain Supreme Lord by remaining asakta param apnoti purushaha. But you are still performing your work with detachment. Don't get attached to your work. See, like, sometimes may have given the example of, some people do some kind of, service in the kitchen, for example. Okay. Some is doing garland service, some is doing some other services. This is a practical example. People start saying that, no, Gaurlita garland only I can make, because I love doing it. You can make Srila Prabhupada garland like that. So everyone has their own, way of getting attached to certain things within the temple environment as well. Oh no, I will only do the making puris in the kitchen. I will only do this. I will only do that. So that kind of asakti is also not good. You should be able to do anything, ready to do anything that is coming your way. That should be the swabhava of the devotee. Yes, Ray.
What about people like me who's like no temple near me in the entire state? How can we do our seva?
Your house is a temple. Make it a temple. Yeah. Whether
That's
it's a
what I'm doing
photo
so
or
far.
it's a murti or anything that you have, make that as a temple. Like your body is a temple. Decorate it with the tilakas, take shower at the right time, get up in the morning, do your rounds. So this is the way that is common for everyone. However, if the temple comes into picture, then if you are living away from the temple, then your house is a temple. Make it a temple. Yeah.
Thank you.
So in this way, what Arjun is told to is to do your duty. So Arjun means all of us, basically. So Krishna is telling Arjun over here, yes, if you think that you are self-satisfied, that you don't need a kingdom, you don't need to be with your family, you can just go to the forest and be satisfied there. Fine. Then it makes no difference to you whether you are in forest or whether you are in the city. How does it matter? When you don't want to do your duty, why do you want to go to forest? You can stay here and not do your duty. So Krishna is exactly turning around the same argument, the same point that I am so transcendental that I don't need to do any duty. So yes, if you are so transcendental, then doing duty also makes no difference to you. So the frustration in material life is not sufficient for spiritual life. It has to be positive attraction to spiritual life. And positive attraction is tested and demonstrated by sustained commitment. And tested means for myself, it is a test. Today I may feel frustrated, so I wanted to switch to spiritual life. But even if in good time this desire is there, then it is a test for me and demonstration for others. If that there is, then one can renounce the material life and focus on spiritual life. There is a very famous, saying by Ramakrishna Paramhans. Um, uh, that is about the character, basically. So, what is the character of a good person is to remain performing your duty in that. खुद को कार्य में संलग्न रखना ही चरित्र है. खुद को कार्य में संलग्न रखना ही चरित्र. संलग्न means to continue doing that work and performing that. And that is called it the character. So the character of the person is coming from the kind of work that you are doing without, looking at it, oh, I'm so bored, I'm so frustrated that I don't want to do it anymore. And for how many days that you cannot do it? If you have love for your children, you have love for your wife, you have love for your parents, then you have to do your prescribed duty in order to fulfill the order. But if someone says, I'm so transcendental that I don't care for my studies, then if you are so transcendental, then whether you study or not, don't study makes no difference. Then study and set example for actually for others. Better to study and set an example. So after that, Krishna gives example to Arjun. He gives him example of Janaka, his own example, and then reiterated to Arjun again that he should act. But here he is giving general principle. Therefore, always be detached, but karyam, karma samachara. So do your work. Asakto hi acharan karma. So if you will act in detachment, then what will happen here? Krishna, for the first time, Krishna is talking about param apnoti purushaha. You will attain the supreme destination. But he is not talking about him. He is still saying you will attain the supreme destination. What is the supreme destination? He is still not talking about. He is saying that param, and referring to himself. So it is not a direct reference that supreme is. Supreme is Krishna. Krishna is not using mama over here. But still, param apnoti purushaha. So one will attain the supreme. So Krishna is saying that just by doing one's duty, one can attain the supreme. And how one should do his duty is by attachment. But Arjun is thinking, but I have seen most people who wants liberation, renounces the world. So Krishna says, no, there are examples who remain in the world and they will also attain liberation. How that happens, that we will see in the next verses. Yeah. Good to see Rishi in the class. Okay. So we move to verse number 20. And I think time-wise we are going good. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim
कर्माणैव हि संसिद्धिम्
asthita janakadeyaha
Ashtita
Janakadaya
lokasangraham aivapi
Lokasamgrahapi
sampasyan sarkartumarhasi. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. So he's giving the example of Janak Maharaj. Who is Janak Maharaj?
Sita's
Sita's
Father
Yes,
of
Father.
Sita Mata.
Sita.
So, what Krishna is saying, karma naiva hi samsiddhim. By performing karma itself, samsiddhim, perfection is attained by whom? Asthita janakadeyaha, by Maharaj Janaka. And other persons like him also have attained that, samsiddhim. Loka sangraham evapi. Therefore, the purpose of loka sangraha, sampasyam kartum arhasi. Sampasyam means see it systematically. And they consider loka sangraha means setting examples of others. Sangra actually means accumulation or maintenance. So maintain the lokas. How are the lokas maintained? By proper example. Loka sangraham evapi. Sampasyam kartum arhasi. So considering that, you should act properly. So he's saying, in the past also there were many people who were liberated by doing their prescribed duty, So don't think that prescribed duty cannot bring liberation. By doing one's prescribed duty, also one can move forward and eventually becomes liberated. So in this section, Lord Krishna told Arjun that it is not external duties which causes bondage, but one's eternal mentality. If one is detached, then one is not bound, but by detached, if one does one's duty, then what happens? One is able to set a good example for others. So for Loka Sangraha, please do your duties, and in the next verse, Krishna will talk about himself. So like Srila Prabhupada's life as well, Srila Prabhupada set an example that he was running a shop of a pharmacist, pharmacist company actually. He was running a pharmacist company. He had two sons and a few daughters, etc., all the family. And once he has performed all that during, he did it very well, looked after them properly, and then he took sannyas to perform his sannyasa duty for Loka Jagaran, Loka Sangraha. That's how he has performed his duty. So he has set himself as an example. So it is not only that he has translated Bhagavad-gita and wrote big things, but he has also done that job and opened such a big institute for the entire world, not for only Indians, for the entire world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. For the entire world, he has opened such a big shop where everybody can get shelter into. And he set an example so that people can understand his language and what he's saying. So Srila Prabhupada's purport has so much meaning actually. If you read, I started, but then it was stopped because of the lack of attendance. Prabhupada Lilamrita reading. It's beautiful. So one should read that. At least if you are not able to read Lilamrita, at least read Your Ever Well Wisher. There is a book available in the temple shop. Buy that book. It's a beautiful book. It talks about Srila Prabhupada's biography. Your Ever Well Wisher. That is the name of the book. Read that book. It will give you so much about Srila Prabhupada. Who all have read? Can you raise the hands? From here, nobody has read it. Please go through that book. It is very important. And how much that we can understand about Prabhupada and what all difficulties he has gone through, etc. It is everything has been written very nicely there. The other book which I will prescribe you all to read is TKG's diary, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj's diary, because he was his personal assistant. So he has seen Srila Prabhupada's life in the later stage during his sannyasa, how he lived his life, and most of the part is of the final days of his life, when um, how he slowly started giving up all the food material that he was consuming. He said, I don't want this, I don't want that. What is the use of taking this? Because this body is only a bone and only a skin. There is no flesh inside. My body cannot take any food anymore. Then what is the use of eating also? Because my body is not able to take anything. It is not able to uh, digest any food anymore because there is no strength left in this body. Because he had worked so hard, teaching each and everything to the devotees, how even to ladies devotees, how to put a sari across, how to cook, how to make gulab jamun, how to make halwa, how to make puri, how to make sabji, dal, rice, this, that, chutneys, and whole lot of stuff, all the Bengali sweets, sandes, etc. So he taught each and everything to the devotees. opened 108 temples across the globe. So he has done so much, and also set an example that how each and everything can be done. If you are uh, totally devoted and dedicated to do certain things, then you can do it. That's how he lived his life and set an example for others. Yeah. Can we move to the next verse?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Now, if we look at the third chapter in the 3 sections, yeah? So we discussed first and second section in the way that 1 to 10 talks about Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. And 10 to 16, he talks about if you are not qualified even for Karma Yoga, then practice Karma Kanda. 17 to 24, he talks about if you are not qualified for Jnana Yoga, still practice Karma Yoga to set an example. 25 to 29, Karma Yoga and Karma Kanda difference talks about. And 30 to 35, Krishna talks about Karma Yoga, how to elevate yourself from the Karma Yoga upward. And 36 to 43, he talks about how to overcome lust, the main obstacle in the path of Karma Yoga. Okay. So first, Krishna first gives the principle that act in a detached way. When he gives example of Janaka and others, now he gives one general principle, how those who are in leadership positions, they need to act exemplarily. Leadership position does not mean only in Krishna consciousness. Leadership position in any part of the game that you are into. Okay. I know that the people at work will not be that committed, not they are only committed to get to do the work in order to get a promotion. That's all their commitment is all about. However, in the devotional life, the commitment is different because that's where you want to go back to Krishna. Everyone wants to go back to Krishna. But how much the commitment that each one shows is different to person. Okay? So it's a beautiful verse. Please by heart this verse. 3.14 and 3.21. Both are very, very important verses. Yad yad acharati shrestha
यद्
यद्
आचरति
आचरति
श्रेष्ठः
श्रेष्ठः
तत्तद् एवरतरो जनः
तत्तदेव तरो
तदेव
जनः
जनः
सायत् प्रमाणं कुरुते
यत्
प्रमाणं
प्रमाणं कुरुते
लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते
लोकस्तत्
अनुवर्तते
यद् यद् आचरति श्रेष्ठ तत्तद् एवातरो जनः
यद्
यत्
यद्
यत्
आचरति
आचरति श्रेष्ठः
श्रेष्ठः
तदेव
तदेव
तरो
जनः
जनः
सायत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते
सत्य
सयत्
यत्
प्रमाणं
प्रणामं
करोति
कुरुते
लोकस्तदनुवर्तते
लोकस्तदनुवर्तते
यद् यद् आचरति श्रेष्ठ तत्तद् एवातरो जनः सायत् प्रमाणं कुरुते लोकस्तद् अनुवर्तते
यद् यद्
यत् यत् आचरति
आचरति
श्रेष्ठः
श्रेष्ठः
तत्तदेव
तदेवेतरो
तरो
जनः
जनः
सयत्
यत्
प्रमाणं
प्रणामं
करोति
कुरुते
लोकस्तदनुवर्तते
लोकस्तदनुवर्तते
Please by heart this verse for the exam, and this is the most important, one of the important verses of third chapter. Okay, translation. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets, by exemplary acts all the world pursues. I repeat, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So I can give an example. Sometimes I used to ask my Guru Maharaj, can we do it this way? Can we do it that way? So Guru Maharaj used to say, see what Prabhupada has said in his book. See what has written the standards. Let's do it accordingly. He never said that, yes, go ahead and do it. He said what Prabhupada has said. Always get Prabhupada on the top. My Guru Maharaj's Vyas Puja is on 17th. So you all are invited, but I am here in India at the moment. So the point I'm trying to make that Prabhupada has set such beautiful standards that others can follow them and can live their life accordingly. So it is very important to understand from Prabhupada's life that whatever we are doing is according to the Shastra, that one can do it. Okay. So yad yad acharati. Acharati means to behave or act. And shreshthas, leaders. Leaders means shreshthas. Those who are influential, those who are shrestha. Nowadays in the political scenario, you can see all those shreshthas there are corrupt people. So we can't follow them. Taddat evar tato janaha. Other people act accordingly. Sayat pramanam kurute. And pramana, by setting an example and the standard. So what are those pramana? Are Shabda Praman, Pratyaksha Praman, and Anumana Praman.
Anuman Praman.
The standards ways of acquiring knowledge, authoritative ways. Lokas tad anuvartate. So general people will anuvartate, will follow those standards. They will follow that. So here Krishna talked about the principle of how we cannot act in isolation or being self-obsessed, self-concerned way for our own good. Even if it is for our spiritual good, we have to consider what is the fact on others and we have to behave in exemplary way accordingly. One of the important way to judge caliber of a society is by its hero. The kind of people that are considered ideal, exemplary, heroic, that shapes the characters of the society. In India, at the time of independence, social leaders who were starving for independence, they were considered heroes. They were models in many ways. Yeah. And even if they were not spiritual minded, they were exemplary. At least they were determined for the freedom movement of the country. Like Lokmanya Tilak, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, then Sardar Patel, these kind of people, they were very determined people. They wanted to do something. Even we can take the example of Napoleon, for that matter. Napoleon was very, very good leader. Once his army during the war reached to a point where there was a big, uh, you know, there was a big shallow way where they have to cross. He jumped with his horse and he crossed over. So when the leader does that, others will follow. So Napoleon was that brave and he showed with the example. In the earlier political leaders were considered models like, people say Mahatma Gandhi, but it's a very political and a very, debatable issue for the Mahatma Gandhi when it comes to Mahatma Gandhi. But at least he has shown, he did the Dandi Yatra, he did, I mean, so many other things that he has done. However, I just don't want to sit with the example of Mahatma Gandhi, but others were, Bhagat Singh, and then, Chandrasekhar Azad. They were all the beautiful examples of our freedom movement of India. And there were examples like Napoleon Bonaparte. So these were the examples that we can talk about. Maharana Pratap, for example, Shivaji, we can talk about. So these were, these were the Shreshthas, those who can talk about. We can't take the example of film star like Amitabh Bachchan. No. What kind of examples that he is setting? Nothing. If tomorrow uh, Amitabh Bachchan starts reciting Bhagavad-gita, he might recite in a very, um, uh, you know, dramatic way. It may touch people's heart, but it will not hit people's mind. It may hit people's heart, but not the mind. There was a movie called Ijazat. If you, I know any one of you have seen it. It was Nasruddin Shah, Rekha, and Anuradha Patel. Beautiful movie. In that, there is an example of, um, Rekha and Nasruddin Shah talking about it. Say, Nasruddin Shah was reading the newspaper and he says, I think that if the newsreader seeing when they are reading the news, there is a point when he talks about that there were some people in the Bihar who were, because of the flood, they died. So now he starts saying like this, "Oh, there were people in the Bihar, they all have drowned down because of the flood." So like he said, now if the newsreader talks like this, it may affect people. Oh yeah, it is really, very touchable, incidents that because of drought people are of because of flood people are dying because of that. But it's a very touchy things. But have you ever seen that newsreaders does that? No, in the practical scenario it doesn't happen that way. It's a very dramatic way of doing it without putting any what call emotions to it. So if we look at the entertainment of 50% 50 years ago was much holistic, but now in the name of entertainment, people look at sensuality, sex, and violence. There used to be a thing called povada at the time of Shivaji. The povada was the way of awakening people about the freedom movement of India. So people used to go and they used to sing povada. Povada was the way of poetry which was sung in a very very different tune, and it used to talk about all those things which are to be conveyed to the people in the Gramin area. You know what is Gramin area is like the villagers. For them to awaken their love for the country, they used to sing in that way, and they used to tell that what has happened, how Shivaji's son Sambhaji was killed by Aurangzeb, and this and that. So they used to talk about all those stories in that Povada way, and used to tell them, see, he was such a I remember one Povada singer who used to say that Sambhaji was so young that if you press his lip, the milk will come out of his lips. He was that small, he was that young. And Aurangzeb killed him as well. The Aurangzeb was that brutal. So, entertainment was that. Entertainment plus it was awakening the heart of the people. It was entertainment as well as awakening. But nowadays, what is the entertainment? Romance, sex, and violence. That's all. One person will beat, 50 people in the movies nowadays, in the Bollywood movies. And how is it possible? If these characters are people find attractive, then that indicates that their consciousness level has declined to a very minimal degree. If the models were spiritual minded, it is best. Else, at least they should have been in a mode of goodness. In today's society, sin are considered fashionable. In movies, obscene scenes are called bold scenes nowadays, which is just shamelessness. Since it is called boldness, so everyone wanted to become bold. Parents also say that, a teacher and a king are natural leaders of society. So these people create formative influences. So parents, teachers, and the king are the natural leader of the society. But do we see that in the today's world? The kings means the political leaders nowadays, chief minister, governor, prime minister, vice president, president, or chief justice of Supreme Court. So these are the exemplary people. They can show their way of doing it. But now we read in India, there was a high court judge in his home, the whole lot of cash was found and it was all burnt. And there's so much, political drama is happening nowadays in India for that. So the power of example when we give, so we have to give the example of Srila Prabhupada's preaching. It's far more superior than examples of power. For example, forced conversions of people. So we are all are practicing Krishna consciousness are so we are KC leaders. Manushyanam Sahasreshu. It is responsibility of every devotee that we should be the models, not critics. We don't know why others are behaving like that. We should be part of the solution, not the problem. We all know the problem, but we need to find a solution and become the leaders to resolve those problems in the world. People will say that great person like Arjun has not performed his duty, so I will not also not perform. So you will set bad example for others. So please don't do that. Yeah. Can we do one more verse? Okay, cool. So does that give a lot of enlightenment, this verse 21? At least I really like that. Yadyat Acharde Shrestha. That's a beautiful verse and everyone should remember that. By heart this, नींद में उसे उठा के कोई पूछेगा ना तो याद होना चाहिए. So now Krishna will give one more example of a person who acts and sets a good example. So verse 22. नामे प्रस्थाति कर्तव्यम
नामे
कामे
प्रस्थाति
प्रशस्ति कर्तव्यम्
त्रिषु लोकेषु किंचन
त्रिषु
त्रिषु
लोकेषु
लोकेषु
किंचन
किंचन
नानावक्तम् अवक्तव्यम्
नानाभावम्
नानावक्तम् अवक्तव्यम्
वर्त एव च कर्मणि.
वर्त
वर्त
एव
एव च कर्मणि.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O son of Pratha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. So beautiful is this. This is Krishna's words. O son of Pratha, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems, nor am I in want of anything, nor have I a need to obtain anything, and yet I am engaged in prescribed duties. He is looking after so many universes. And each universe has Karadodakshai Vishnu. There is a Kshirodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and all are Krishna only. But for every universe, he is providing that. So he is doing his duty and without any failure. Karanodakshai Vishnu means Karana. So every cause, for he is the cause of every causes. That's why he is called Karanodakshai Vishnu. Garbhodakshai Vishnu, he is in the garbha of every universe. Right. But they are all expansions of Krishna. So the original Krishna is two-handed form of Krishna who is sitting in Golok Vrindavan. Okay, so now coming back to this verse, na me prathasti, o na me parthasti, o partha, na asti, kartavyam. There is no prescribed duty for me. Tishu lokeshu kincham. Nor in three words there is any duty for me. Nana aptam avaptamyam. Nor am I in want or whether I required everything or anything. Nor have I a need to obtain or gain anything. Varta evacha karmani. Still I am engaged in my duty. So yet Krishna has not revealed in Bhagavad-gita that he is God, although he has revealed in 2.61 Yukta Asita Matparaha in that verse. So fix your mind on me. That indicates that he is not just a teacher, he is the Supreme Lord. But that is not explicitly he has said. Those who are samajhdar, they can understand. In general, the Indian culture, people know that Krishna is God, but here in flow of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has not introduced himself as first person or God directly. But here he points towards that and he says that na me prathasti kartavyam. There is no duty for me. Now, where there is no duty for him, because he is the Supreme Lord, he is not subordinate. He is not subordinate to what? To anyone. In fact, there is a well-known Upanishad where there is a verse which Prabhupada quotes in the purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is described in the Vedic literature. So if you go through the purport and if you have read the purport, I'm just assuming you will understand that. I'm just reading the translation of that. The Supreme Lord is the controller of all other controllers, and he is the greatest of all the diverse planetary leaders. Everyone is under his control. All entities are delegated with particular power only by the Supreme Lord. They are not supreme themselves. He is also worshipable by all demigods and is the supreme director of all directors. Therefore, he is transcendental to all kinds of material leaders and controllers and is worshipable by all. There is no one greater than him. He is the supreme cause of all causes. So, he does not possess a bodily form like that of an ordinary living entity. There is no difference between his body and his soul. He is absolute. All his senses are transcendental. Anyone of his senses can perform the action of any other sense. Like his ear can see, his nose can eat, his lips can kill somebody. Like that. So, he has a transcendental body. And that is why he is always happy. And because he is happy, we also want to remain happy because we are part and parcel of him. Why we always want to remain happy? Because we are also the soul. He is super soul, we are minute soul. Om Purnamadha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. That principle applies everywhere. You see? So water from the ocean in a bucket, water in the ocean, water in a glass, and the same water. And same water in a spoon. They all will have the same property. All will be salty. All will be equal, have pH value. But what is the difference? Quantity. Ocean is huge. Bucket is huge than a spoon of water. A glass of water is yet very small than a bucket of water. And what to compare that with the ocean? So Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. So everything is in him, everything comes from him, everything has the same qualities as he has. That's why we always want to remain happy. Okay? I think we'll stop here today. We'll do Vaishnava Pranam and then stop the recording and then we can talk. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo Itanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Jai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Krishna.